Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Earth and Spin. And I am really excited to talk about this episode because this is something I've experienced in my own life, and it's something that I think that we have all experienced as African American women, Black women, women in general. This idea of being strong, right? I think when we look at our history, we talk about like archetypes, the angry Black woman, the Jezebel. I've heard someone say we kind of felt like we had to choose, right? And so we cultivated this strong Black woman. I can honestly say from my own experience and my own growing up and my own cultivation, I believe that this idea of this strong Black woman has come from us not being in the spaces to be weak, right? Or to be, when I say weak, I'm going to say meek, right? Or to be soft or to be kind. And that was really birthed from the men, growing up poor, you know what I mean? Growing up in poverty or just growing up in spaces where, I guess it's just what it is. Like men, they don't get help, they don't, so when you have that at the forefront and you're the woman of this, you see that so often. And so I think that actually becomes like a generational thing. And so you like, you know what? I'm not gonna be like my mama because my mama was so nice and my mama was so this and my mama was so that. I ain't gonna be getting smacked around, or I'm not gonna be like my grandma where I'm in a relationship and I'm miserable and I can't speak back to my husband, or you know what I mean? And so I think that then cultivates it. On top of, when you are a young woman, I've had my own experiences. You're walking down the street and you don't want to say hi to a guy and he calling you out your name. You were in school and you see the girl who's nice or who's shy and she's letting guys spill on her and they smacking her butt and touching her boobs and stuff in class, right? So you're like, you know what, I ain't gonna be that. So you then decide, I'm gonna be something else. And I definitely think that this has been our biggest downfall, because now we do have men who are in positions where they're accountable, or if you meet someone who does come from a family where he was held accountable and he you know whatever, like he has all the parts, right? It does make it very hard for you to be in those situations where you're kind of like malleable and you're willing to be in a space where, you're willing to be vulnerable and things. And what I found time and time again is, it really depends on the person. And this is something that me and my aunt was talking about this today, and I stress this to people. If a woman is not in a space where you feel like you can be vulnerable, you don't feel like you can be soft, you don't feel like you can be yourself, understand that different people bring out different things. Now, I know we talk about energy, but I'm going to just keep it real and I'm going to keep it simple. It's impossible to be who you are, right? Like when you know who you are as a woman, you don't have to be strong. You don't have to be any of those things, right? Like you're in tune with your divine feminine, things like that. But when you know who you are, right, and you're with a guy who doesn't know who he is, it's going to be very hard for you to be in that space. I'm going to share my own experience when I was dating a guy, and I just got to that point where I was like, you know what, I don't want to live life like this. I realized I was very hard, and I realized that I had to be that way, right? But once I identified that and I was aware and I started to move in the ways in which I actually wanted to live my life, it made a whole difference. So I was dating this guy, and I remember I was crying about something one day because I just was like stressed out. I was like overworking, and I just was like, just having a moment. And, he was like, I can tell you're kind of weak. And in that moment, it just made me go right back to that rough and rigidness. And I think that sometimes we have some young men who do equate that as like a weakness. You know what I mean? They do equate the vulnerability, the nurturing side of a woman as weak. And that's not really on you. That's really for you to understand that not every person had a mother or an example of what it was like to be a divine feminine. My mother is very feminine. Like, she's a sweetheart. She's a little firecracker, but she's a sweetheart. She's spicy, but she's sweet, and so I had that example, what I mean, for me. And so it was like, I knew what it was like to be in touch with my femininity and to be soft. My mother would always wear dresses and nightgowns, and I used to hate the way she would dress me when I was younger, but looking back, it was so cute because, she always had us in pink and I always wore dresses. And like, now it's so funny because I hated it, and I like kind of was like a tomboy in school when I was like in high school or whatever.
well, middle school mostly, but now I'm in a space where it's like, oh, I get it, right? Because I don't like really wearing sneakers. Like, that's not my thing. And I remember dating guys and people who would try to change me. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a human. I like to be comfortable. I'm not saying that, being feminine is this fancy thing that you need to keep your hair done and all. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying, though, is great to be a girl, and so you have to make sure that you're with somebody who allows you to be in that space, because even as a man, you know what I mean, growing up, they see the same things. They see the strong woman. So it's like, when you're not that, if he's not consciously aware and he doesn't know who he is, he doesn't know that you know what I mean, it's going to be hard for you to be able to be vulnerable and to be yourself. So you have to be very discerning in regards to that. But absolutely. I think that it's definitely something that we all see. My grandmother's still that way. She's just kind of set in her ways, you know what I mean? But you don't have to be. And I can honestly say it's a very freeing thing. And I'm so thankful. I've grown so much in that area of my life. Like, I love asking for help. I'm always asking for help, quite frankly. But I've actually met someone who was like, you're kind of needy. You know what I mean? So I just think that it's almost like it's an image. It's just an image of the Black woman that we've never seen before. You know what I mean? But take the time to cultivate that on your own time. Like, you can start very subtle, like wearing dresses to bed. Like, it doesn't have to be like, and hear me clearly, you guys, like, I'm not, like, the thing is, this is who you are, okay? So let's just get that straight, first things first. Like, you're a woman, that's who you are. It is what it is. Now, of course, you have women who, are different in a sense, and that's fine. You don't have to like all the same things, but just know that it is in your nature to be a nurturer and, to be soft and to be kind and empathetic and compassionate and all of those beautiful things, right? Like, feminine energy is energy, right? It's spiritual. It's something that's internal. So just understand you don't necessarily have to do anything outside of yourself to cultivate it. You don't have to wear makeup. You don't have to do those things. But, just understand that it's okay to be you. You know what I mean? It's okay to show up in the world as a woman, and it's great. I love it. I can honestly say. And like I said, I'm not here to change anybody. This podcast is not about that. That was just something I was thinking about, and I really wanted to speak on it. You know what I mean? But yeah, just understanding that aspect of it is important. Now, you have to understand, too, the reason why God has given us intuition is because of our soft nature. Sometimes that can be looked at as a weakness, like I said, and sometimes some people will want to take advantage of that, right? So you have to be very mindful of just kind of how you present yourself and kind of how you move, right? Use your intuition. I'm not saying the world is scary. I'm not saying men are all bad. I'm not saying any of that, right? Like, but you want to be in that space, okay? So that's all. I just kind of had like a message for like my strong women out there who are tired of being strong. It's totally okay to just be in your energy. It feels so good to just do nothing and just kind of like relax. And like I said, don't take what I'm saying so left and so literal. When I say do nothing, I mean just be in your energy and just, do what you love. Like, be excited about life, carry a lighter heart. You know what I mean? Let go of some of those burdens and some of that heavy energy. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. So, okay, you guys, I'm going to leave you guys with your thoughts.